Most of us never start anything cold. If you're gonna go to college, you gotta study your ass off. This is about self-talk. So basically what I do here is you have to make sure that your mind doesn't become spastic. When it's suffering, when it's in pain, all it wants to do is find the easy way out, which is usually quit.
You gotta have the gear pre-staged. The morning gear has to be pre-staged. Make sure turn off your secondary and your tertiary alarms.
All this like people want to be all positive, it doesn't work if it's a lot. So my self-talk is like no one else's self-talk. It changes all the time. But let's say for shits and giggles, I'm training for a 100-mile race. I get to mile 50 and I feel like shit.
I am a much lighter sleeper. In my opinion, make sure you're not ingesting a ton of carbohydrates because those are gonna make you tired.
So my mind starts to get weak and we start to forget about how badass we are.
I go to bed like usually around 11. I recommend going to bed when you get tired. Shut your computer off, stop looking at the interwebs, and go to sleep.
Like everybody else, my mind gets soft. Why? Because I'm human. I'm not some damn, hybrid creature that was formed from the heavens above. No, not human. I suffer, I don't like it.
The other day I did a 72-hour fast, right? Yeah. No food for 72 hours. If you go 72 hours without eating, it recalibrates your hunger meter. So recalibrate that thing, do a fast. Even if you just don't eat for 24 hours, you realize that most of your hunger signals that are coming to your brain are lies.
You gotta give yourself enough energy and fuel in your mind to stay just a little bit longer so you can talk yourself into staying for the whole thing. We forget all the build up to where we're at today. We forget how much work we put in. We forget that we put years. We forget that. We forget that journey on what it took for us to get in this moment to make the right decision. So that's my self-talk is this. Okay, I want to get the fuck out of here, man. I'm done. Then I remember this. You ran 2,000 miles training to be in this moment right now. We forget the 3 o'clock in the morning runs or getting up early for work or whatever you're doing. We forget all that. In that moment of suffering, I remind myself, I only have 50 more miles. I put in 6 months of training. So what I do, my self-talk is basically going back down memory lane. So all of my, stuff I talk about, it came from me going to hell, being in hell, seeing how your mind functions in a bad environment, how it processes it, and that's what I write about. I write about actual times of life and how my mind processed it and how I got through these times. No one ever taught me anything. I was a practitioner. And like I tell people sometimes, what changed my life, one thing that changed my life was I was a big believer, or I used to love watching Rocky. Round 14, Rocky won. And what I love about that scene is that I saw this movie at one of the worst times in my life growing up as a kid. That 2 minutes and 13 seconds changed my mentality, how I look at things. Of all those fucked up days, I ran in the fucking rain, or I had to fucking study real late at night, and I didn't want to do it, but I did it to get here.
People go through their lives without knowing what it is they want to do, what they want to accomplish. So know what your mission is. Know what your intent as the commander of your life. Know what your intent is, and then fight with everything you've got to win.
I have to live by example. So when it's miserable outside, when I don't want to study, when I don't want to even clean my house, make my bed, I will be a liar like I used to be if I'm telling you something that I'm not doing every single day of my life. You put yourself out there like this to be the ultimate leader. People are trying to see what you're talking about and live off your example. What motivates me now, what keeps me going up every day is you all. People who listen to me, people who follow me, people who trust in me, people who want to be better.
You wouldn't think that people would be going through life without knowing where they're trying to get to, your life changes, things pop up, I mean, things happen. I think that idea that you're going to know how you're going to execute something is far-fetched. You should have an idea of how you're going to do it. Okay, well, this is what I need to get done. This is what I want to achieve in my life.
I have to live by example. I have to live my life. So I couldn't talk to you all today if I didn't have these here following my run. If I didn't run before I talked to you all, I wouldn't have the motivation or the courage to talk to you all, because I would be right now false. I would be lying. So what motivates me now is knowing that I live what I talk about, and that's what it is now. My biggest fear in life is to die, to get to heaven, and to look at my chart and to not do everything I was capable of doing. To leave anything out there to risk, to leave anything out there to think about for the rest of my life of why didn't I push harder in this category or the other. Make a list of things that you're not good at. And the more you start to attack that list, the more you start to attack the things that you're not great at, the more you start to break down those barriers of fear. We fear judgment. We fear judgment on ourselves. We fear all those things. It starts though with doing things that you're not comfortable doing and realizing, wow, there's a lot of growth. I wanted to get here. Yeah. Now you're here and now you want to quit? But just think about it. If you haven't put in any hard work to reflect on, you're fine. If you didn't study for your big exam and you go into it saying, I'm going to pass it, no, you're not. You're going to fail it. That self-talk is not going to work. Self-talk without real work is just a lie. So my self-talk is me reminiscing back on the struggle to get to this moment. And that tells me we're not quitting today.
I want to do this. I want to own a house. Okay, well, let's think about how we're going to get there. You have to build your credit. How do you build your credit? You have to borrow money. Some people, they go to buy a house, they've never borrowed money before. The idea is that you got to move towards that goal. You might make it driving Uber. You might make it delivering pizza. You might make, because you got your real job that's supporting your family, but then you need a little extra to throw in there. Well, that's why you end up driving Uber. You end up with whatever it is you're going to do. Okay, let's say you're going to say you're going to be financially secure and independent. Yeah. And the younger you make that goal, the better chance you have of achieving it. Because now you're not wasting your money. You're actually saving for a house. That's a bigger goal. That's a broader goal. Just like when you go to war, you need to know what it is you're going to war for. What are you going to do, and when are you going to stop, and what's your intended result?
To succeed, you must fail. In failure and in suffering, all the answers are in there. All the answers to all the test questions. The test is your life. All the answers are in there. You have to live in suffering and pain and failure all the time. You have to learn, I need to visit it. Like people hate working out. You have to tap into suffering every day of your life because we have so much scarring that we have to clean up. You have to look at suffering as almost like I look at failure. But how you become in shape is you must visit suffering, visit working out 1 hour a day, visit suffering 1 hour a day, visit your past failures 1 hour a day. The relationship with it is the answers are in there. How you can live is do it while you're alive. Don't wait until you're dead to figure out why you died.
Have small goals that lead to the big goal, right? For instance, you want to be financially secure and stable. What are you going to do? You're going to save some of your money. Okay, that's one thing. You're going to buy a house. That's another thing. You're going to pay off your car, and you're not going to buy expensive, dumb cars. You're going to buy cheap cars until you have the money to buy them with cash.
Are all the answers to why you are on the couch feeling sorry for yourself? They lie within the scars. Visit them for at least an hour a day.
You're right. You have your broad goal, yes. You have your long-term goal, yes, and then you got your short-term goals that lead and are strategically aligned with that long-term goal.
Do it while you are living. Go in there, go into the suffering, go into the pain of your life and say, why did this suck for me so bad? Why am I afraid of all this stuff? Why have I shut down the whole world? I guarantee I'll tell you why you shut down the whole world. That's why I studied my mind. Why I became so powerful in the mind is because I realized I was weak. So instead of running away from the mind, I dove into it and said, what is making me weak? Oh, this makes sense. I came from hell.